You're not going to believe what just happened this week, my friends. Even for the royal family, and we've certainly seen our share of storms, this one struck a deeper, colder chord. After years of balancing loyalty and family, King Charles III made a decision so final, so symbolic, that it sent a chill through every corner of royal tradition. He stripped his own brother, Prince Andrew, of all his remaining royal titles, honours, and even ordered him to leave the royal lodge, the home he'd lived in for decades. In one quiet, devastating stroke of ink, a lifetime of status evaporated. No more His Royal Highness, no more Duke of York. From now on, he will simply be Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a royal in name only, and honestly, a prince exiled by paperwork. And the question that's been sitting in my mind ever since is this, dear friends. What happens when a man born into honor loses every single symbol of it? What truth is the king trying to prove by choosing duty so absolutely over blood? Even inside the palaces of power, the laws of dignity and decorum still stand taller than bloodlines ever could. So, let's walk through this quietly, because what's unfolding with Andrew isn't just punishment, it's a profound lesson in how the monarchy preserves itself by cutting off the branches that grow too wild. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? You remember Andrew's story? It's been dragging on for years. For nearly a decade, he's been shadowed by those terrible connections and the accusations that followed. Even though he's denied the worst of them, the damage was done long ago. It reached a fever pitch back in 2019 with that infamous BBC interview. I still remember watching that night. He sat stiffly under those lights, trying to defend himself, insisting he had no recollection of key events. He spoke of honor and duty, and quite strangely, of not sweating. But my friends, what the world heard wasn't a defense. It was pure entitlement. The arrogance of someone who believed reputation could be explained away with a polite, stiff tone. That was the night, as many royal watchers said, that he lost the room. Instead of clearing his name, he turned public sympathy into disbelief. Friends, if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot, and it keeps our little circle growing. Thank you. All right, let's go back to what happened. I can picture the stunned silence on television panels afterward. People were simply bewildered. The monarchy, you see, can survive almost anything, unpopularity, even financial arguments. But it cannot, absolutely cannot, survive moral confusion. And in that interview, Andrew offered nothing but confusion, wrapped in privilege. The late Queen, bless her heart, understood better than anyone that the monarchy runs on perception. She acted swiftly, as was her quiet way. Within days, the palace announced that Prince Andrew would step back from public duties for the foreseeable future. That phrase in royal language means exile without the word. It sounded temporary, didn't it? But we know now it wasn't. He lost the use of His Royal Highness then, and vanished from balcony appearances. Still, he kept his actual titles, the Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, Baron Killyleagh, and he kept his final anchor to the old life, the Royal Lodge, his grand residence near Windsor Great Park. It was his last symbol of status, his illusion of belonging. For a time, that seemed like punishment enough. Exile in comfort, a quiet banishment. King Charles, who was still prince then, kept his thoughts private. But you could see the quiet stiffness in his public face during those events. A line drawn, not in anger, but in resolve. Here's the detail people often forget, my friend. Charles had waited his entire life to rule. He'd spent decades studying the history of the crown, not just government, but optics, how the family looks under pressure. He watched what happened when silence failed, when the image cracked, when the public decided they'd had enough. When he finally became king, he knew every lingering scandal attached to his blood would test the crown's survival. The family is a living study of pride, consequence, and grace. And Charles, having lived through his own share of humiliation and tragedy, was determined that his reign would not repeat it. He faced a choice, brother or brand. So, he began to quietly rewrite the rules. The monarchy isn't just a family anymore, it's a brand, one he is determined to preserve at all costs. And in that kind of system, sentiment, my friends, dies first. The days leading up to this final decision were eerily quiet. No palace leaks, no frantic warnings, just murmurs from Windsor. Andrew still lived at Royal Lodge, clinging to that routine. Horse rides, security gates, the pretense of normalcy. And maybe, just maybe, that's how it could have stayed. But, as happens in royal life, silence is never permanent. The truth, like water, always finds the crack. This is where the story reverses. This is when Charles, who has spent his reign tightening the monarchy's moral perimeter, finally acted with quiet ruthlessness. With a single formal decision, he revoked every remaining title and honor attached to his brother's name. The news hit the world, simple and seismic. He wasn't suspended, he wasn't quietly reduced. Gone. The statement was short and direct. Andrew would no longer use his royal titles, nor retain his official residence. He is to vacate Royal Lodge and move into private accommodation. This wasn't Parliament. It wasn't some endless committee or public vote. No, this was King Charles, alone, exercising what's called the royal prerogative, the oldest power in the kingdom, used quietly but absolutely. I can almost imagine the heavy weight in those few words. Charles has always believed the monarchy's survival depends on accountability, and Andrew, his own brother, had become the lingering question mark in that necessary effort. It's one thing to forgive a family member, but it's another thing entirely to rebuild a crown's credibility while the public keeps asking, why is he still there? That's the heart of it, my friends. This wasn't just about Andrew's past, it was about the monarchy's future. Because every generation of royals inherits two things. Titles, yes, but more importantly, they inherit consequences. The crown has a survival instinct, a peculiar British genius, as one newspaper called it. The monarchy doesn't collapse, it simply adapts. And sometimes, adapting means sacrificing a piece to save the whole. Friends, if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot, and it keeps our little circle growing. Thank you. All right, let's go back to what happened. You should have seen the reaction in London that day. Cameras lined the gates of Buckingham Palace. Crowds whispered, some angry, some relieved. Outside the palace, an older man said softly to a reporter, "It was time." And maybe he was right. The idea of a royal brother living in such luxury while under that terrible shadow had become too much for public patience. King Charles read the temperature. He always does. He knows that in today's Britain, forgiveness without accountability feels like privilege, and privilege, when left unchecked, is poison in modern politics. So he acted not with drama, but with precision. He turned pride into consequence. And in that quiet act, he reminded everyone, no one is above the crown, not even those born beneath it. Some reports said Andrew was shocked when told. Others suggest he'd been warned, perhaps several times. We'll never know the exact private words, but we do know that royal protocol leaves no room for debate. The king commands, the subject complies. Still, I imagine the silence afterward, the kind that follows a thunderclap. This decision wasn't just a correction for Andrew, it was also a message, a warning carried across palaces and continents, a warning to others who've distanced themselves from royal duty. You see, while Andrew's exile feels complete, it casts a very long shadow over Harry and Meghan. You know how that goes. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped away in 2020, chasing independence across the Atlantic. They kept their HRH titles, though they don't use them publicly. Ever since, the monarchy has wrestled with that double identity. half inside, half out. So when Charles made this move, cutting Andrew loose completely, commentators immediately saw a warning. A sign that the crown is willing to do the unthinkable, even to family, to protect its integrity. If the line of dignity must be redrawn, no title is sacred. Some insiders whispered that this was Charles's way of drawing a map for Harry and Meghan. Stay private, stay respectful, or the titles may follow Andrew's path. The crown has stopped asking for loyalty. It's now demanding it. Step too far, and that invisible line becomes terribly visible. It's not fair, perhaps, to link the two cases. Harry and Meghan committed no crime, no scandal of that kind, but the precedent now echoes. For the first time in modern history, we've seen that titles are not sacred. They are conditional. They can be revoked, not by law, not by Parliament, but by the King's will. The personal cost here is immense. Some reports say Andrew is devastated, stripped not just of titles, but of home. The Royal Lodge, his longtime residence, reportedly being prepared for transfer to another member. Even his income, once quietly supplemented, is now in question. That, my dear friends, is exile by protocol. It's not public humiliation, it's something colder, erasure by paperwork. The royal biographers reported that Andrew's belongings were removed from his residence under supervision, his guards reduced, his office staff dismissed. The gates at Royal Lodge that once opened automatically for him now required clearance. That's humiliation, my friends. Not the cruel kind, but the cleansing kind. The kind that reminds everyone inside the palace that titles are borrowed, not owned. Charles didn't do this because he hated his brother. He did it because the monarchy can't afford double standards. Every time a scandaled royal kept their perks, public faith cracked a little more. And a cracked foundation can't hold a kingdom. The moral payoff. Here's the strange, beautiful thing about all this, my dear friends. When a king strips his brother of rank, it feels cruel, but it is truly an act of preservation. Because monarchy, at its heart, isn't about the people who wear the crowns. It's about the symbols. Titles are supposed to mean honor. But when a title becomes a headline for shame, it infects the entire system. And Charles, for all his complexity, understands that better than anyone. I think about that image. Andrew walking through the gates of Royal Lodge for perhaps the last time. The grand home that once echoed with laughter from family gatherings, now preparing for a quiet goodbye. There's no public shaming here. Just a firm reminder, every privilege carries a price. And perhaps in a small way, Andrew himself knows it too. His silence since the announcement has been total. Not a word, not even a denial. That kind of silence says something, doesn't it? It sounds like a man who finally understands that grace, once lost, can't be reclaimed by argument, only by withdrawal. And then there's Charles, sitting alone in the heavy weight of kingship. Imagine the difficulty of that decision, condemning not an enemy, but your brother. Family dinners, shared childhood memories, all set aside for the sake of reputation. That's the thing about power. It demands sacrifices that love can't prevent. Some might call that cruel, others necessary. The truest crowns are the invisible ones we wear through grace, restraint, and a good night's peace. The rules that govern kings still govern us all, just without the titles. And if you love royal surprises, click on the video on your screen. That's the next chapter, and you won't believe what they did.